Man, this is like, and I guess you guys got to piggyback off that question, because a lot of times we hear stories about young mothers, and I was a young mother. Joy, we talked about this last week. You were a
Yes.
young mother as well.
Yes.
We didn't go to that extreme, but we had help. We had resources. We had people in our
Right.
family that were able to step up and give us options. What happened? What happened in this situation, and how can we prevent this from happening again? Joy?
Without having all of the information, but based on what we had, there was just a breakdown all the way around. No one entity, no one person is to blame. It is a situation where we as a community fail. My mantra this week is we've got the community now has to become a village because it does take a village to raise a child. And this young lady, based on her history, she was failed as a child. And, and being a young mother is difficult. As you said, we were both young mothers. But just imagine with no support. And by the age of 20, you have three children. You had a first baby at 14 or 15 when you've come out of the foster care yourself where there was no stability, when you have not been armed with the tools just to make it in life, and then you find yourself by yourself raising children with no fathers involved. Doesn't seem like immediate or external family was involved. So to go back to your question, where do we start? We got to start grassroots. We got to start reaching out. If you have that young lady as a neighbor or you see her, you got to find a way to reach out. How are you? Families, there's no excuse. You don't hear from your family member, then you reach out. What's going on? Do you need help?
But according to the report now, she did try to reach out.
It's
So
yes,
what was she to do?
exactly. Exactly, and that's where I am perplexed because at every turn, this is a young woman who was screaming, not quietly screaming, through her music, through her words. She knew when she had the second baby, I want a better life for this baby. I want to put this baby up for adoption, and then it was ignored. Oh no, you keep your baby.
But everyone talks about resources. And I know I wasn't a young mother. I've had, 4 children. I was much older, I was married. And I don't think I would have known where to go.
Exactly.
Because there's no manual to be a parent. Unfortunately,
None.
you gotta learn as you go.
That's it.
None.
That's it.
It's just crazy. If you're just following the story, Camilla Terry, 20,
Yes.
Yes.
3 children. Now she's incarcerated for killing her 3-year-old baby. And of course, the community is seeking answers. Laura, you were actually part of the vigil that was just held last week. Very touching, a lot of community support. And when we talked about it, one of the things that you mentioned was a lot of young mothers showed up at that vigil.
It was astounding. I mean, I've done a lot of visuals with Peace in the Hood.
Laura, come over here and share mics
Okay.
with Joy, because I want
Okay.
you to hear this. Because when we talked about it, we talked about the fact that we knew the community was going to come out and support, but just to see young mothers in the strollers and coming out
They all have a
and
story.
and just
Everyone wants to share.
connecting.
They can relate, absolutely.
So how was that like? How was that?
It was devastating. I mean, this was the largest visual I've ever seen. Being with Peace in the Hood over 3 years now, it was over 200 some people. And in that crowd was a lot of young women with their babies, strollers in their arms, and they're here for a reason. They're here to hear this. They're not all friends of the family. They're strangers, don't know each other at all. And they were crying, and I had a feeling, that somebody out there right then needed help.
Right.
You can tell the look on their faces, they're devastated. They're looking at the teddy bears and grasping on to their kids. It brought tears to me.
I'm always perplexed by the thought that all of our lives we're always taught not to get pregnant.
Yeah.
But when we do, no one shows us how to deal with it.
Right. You can't shun a young girl away because she gets pregnant.
Right.
And it's not the end of the world, because there are a lot of success stories.
Absolutely.
And it's not like a child is a disease. You know, because at the end of the day, it's a blessing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Regardless of what
Right.
age, we got to be that support for our women in the community as well as our young mothers. Because, you know, just like I said, there are a host of militaries throughout the world, young women that feel like they have nothing or nobody to turn to. And that's the question. That's what I want to know. How can we prevent this from happening again? Because it's not about Camilla being in an urban community. It's not about her financial status. Because if you think about it, you hear stories in rich households that the young kids can't deal with being pregnant and they kill their kids. That's crazy.
Right.
5780931 or 888-409-0931. Interesting caller, Shelly, a foster care parent with issues. Shelly, what's your comment?
I'm a licensed foster parent through the state of Ohio, and I would just like to say
Joey, I
that
want you to
it
chime
is
in on
very
this. Come
tough
back over
for
here on the
kids
mic.
that are in the system to get the help that they need because the cases are so overloaded. It's hard to get appointments for, um, mental health. It's just really, really difficult. So I can understand you may have had some issues, but at the end of the day, leave your kids somewhere with somebody who can help them. You know, I have so many feelings on both sides.
So you're saying that just the matter of not being able to get help immediately when you want is causing a problem, you think?
Yes, I mean, I had a kid in my home just recently that was 12. She wanted to cut herself, and they want you to take the kid back into your home, and it's like, you have your own kids. I'm not putting my own kids in jeopardy. I want to help. I really do, but you want me to take a kid back into my home that wants to cut themselves, and my kids feel like they're not safe.
That's a great point because you want the community to step up and embrace and help. But when there's no support, how do you do exactly what you're called here to do? I'm kind of lost with that. And as a social worker, I know that you've been faced with so many different decisions on even maybe coming out of your own pocket to make a budget happen because it wasn't there. You know what I mean? Or like I'm not supposed to take this kid to my crib, but I don't have any other options. It's like it's almost like your hands are tied. But what do you do in a situation where you feel like, look, I need some resources to help me out here, and it's just not available? What's up?
That is so